a pagan. She was a goddess. She lived a long time ago. My dad was a Vulcan, a diplomat. They say I got a lot of brothers, different mothers. That's what I know. That's what I know. That's what I know.
Icon 20. We're actually at the end of the Icon 20. You could never tell, but we are at Icon 20. And I'm still standing. But I found me some people to stand against. Guys are fun to stand against. Girls are even more fun. You know. But I'm going to start with you, my dear. I am Zenbach, and you are?
I'm Victoria Borah Bloom, and I'm one of the co-authors of World Tree.
World Tree. World Tree is a?
World Tree is a role-playing game. It's a role-playing game of species and civilization.
Okay. Now, before we go into your game, there's conventions where people become part animal.
Yes.
What's that called?
Those are furry conventions in general. Besides going to science fiction conventions and gaming conventions, we do go to furry conventions as well. We don't usually dress up, but occasionally we do.
We've been invited to one, so we might be going to one very soon.
Well, that would be nice. We'll probably see you there.
That's why I mentioned it. And you are?
I am Nard Bloom, the other author.
Alrighty. This is a co-authored book.
Yes, it is. And
that's going to be an interesting conversation, too.
okay, sorry. It's a co-authored book, and it hasn't broken up our marriage.
Okay, you're still talking to each other.
Yes, indeed. We're even still talking about the next one.
I gotta have to ask this question. Was he good at writing personal notes as well as writing in the book?
Well, I have to say, when we first met each other, we were having a long-distance relationship, and we did a lot of our courting by email. So, yes, I was very impressed.
Very impressed. Okay, I think I just proved my point. Okay, all right. So we have something to do with I don't know how to get into the subject. My viewers may not have been exposed to this. So I'm going to start off with a name, Walt Disney. And people that work at Walt Disney are used to. And the ability for animals to sort of have a humanistic quality. Explain where I'm going with this.
Okay, well, the characters in World Tree, and a lot of characters that people enjoy telling stories about and writing pictures of, are called formally sometimes anthropomorphics. That means with the shape of men or with the shape of people. People also often call them furries, even ones that don't have fur, such as dragon people or cricket people or something like that.
Is one the slang and one the correct?
I don't know if one's more correct than the other. Fans tend to call them furries. When people are trying to upscale them, say do literary magazines and such, they tend to sometimes call them anthropomorphics.
Okay.
Funny animals is sort of an older term that's also
Right.
sometimes used for animal characters that have some characteristics of animals and others of people.
Okay, I just want to get into this. And so before we get into the characters, did you write some characters or you shared character identities?
We shared character identities fairly completely.
So that makes the characters sort of a connection of the two. You sort of no, I won't use that word. Okay, all right, all right. Well, talk to me about the characters.
Well, there are a lot of species, and their whole species, and each one has a stereotype, something that you'd think about all caney or all racemel. Individual people of that species can be as different from each other as two humans can be, or even more so. But the species have pretty strong personalities of their own, which color all the individuals of that species.
All righty. I want you to give me a species and give me some things about the species.
Well, the one of the species are caney. They are the dog people in the world. Exactly. And they have a stereotype which might be typical of what you think of as dogs in our world, with some differences. They're very loyal, especially to people they know for a while. They're heavily involved in social contacts. If they want to meet someone new, they will try to find something they have common with that person, whether or not they really know the person at all. For example, if I were a caney and you were a caney, and I were to meet you and I wanted to be friendly with you,
Yeah.
I talk to you for a little while. I say, well, what do you like? Do you like to read science fiction? And you might say yes, you might say no. And if I couldn't find something, I'd work real hard to find something. For example, I'd say, you know, do you have a friend named Susan? Because I have a friend named Susan. You know, how about that? So they tend to really work very well in social contexts. They are very concerned with who's on top, who's top dog. So in any
Okay.
situation, they want to know who's better and who's worse at it, so they can be in charge. And they have ritualized contests called choofs to sort of decide who's top dog in any situation.
Okay. They have humor?
Absolutely. All these characters have humor. We hope
right.
we've written a book that's humorous as well as serious in a lot of places.
All right. So we have the top the dogs are competitive then.
They're very competitive, yes.
All right. But they're also a good sport.
They're very good sports. Actually,
Sounds like a Taurian trait.
I don't know about that, but one of the
That's
things
another
when
book.
when they have this ritualized combat for, well, it may not be combat if it's a cooking contest, that probably wouldn't be a combat. When the contest finishes, they actually have an emotion where the winner sort of feels tender toward the loser, and the loser sort of feels respectful of the winner. Those emotions may go away a little later, but it usually means the contest ends pretty well, and they are exceptionally good sports.
Okay. Give me another character.
Well, the next one is Gormoror. They're the bear people. They're big and strong. They're barbarian types. They live in the forest a lot of the time. They fight a lot. They've got a strong sense of honor. They'll keep their word of honor if they give it. Breaking that is very shameful. They're good types built on the Conan archetypes and the Norse and Celtic style on Earth, but in World Tree they're their own species.
Now, they hang out by themselves, or they commingle a lot?
They're more solitary. Or they're more apart from the other species than most.
They hibernate?
They don't hibernate.
They don't.
They don't.
Okay. I just had to ask. Because it sounds like I had a buddy and I didn't like him. I know what to do is cool him off.
Not quite that
no,
easy.
No. But they're big. They're strong.
They're gruff. They're honorable. They consider all the other city dwellers to be a little bit shiftless and sly. And they consider themselves to be fairly noble. They're fairly heroic.
All righty. Now, give me another species.
Okay, I'll talk a little about the Herethroi. They are cricket people.
Herethroi.
Herethroi, H-E-R-E-T-H-R-O-Y.
Okay.
I did that fast. Anyway, they are cricket people or bug people. They are the most populous species on the world tree. There are more of them than anything else.
Figures.
They are typically farmers. That's the stereotype of them. They like to sing. They live in villages outside of cities, typically. Now, in the role-playing game, Herethroi, who are adventurers, typically tend to be ones who don't fit in really well in village life. They've got something that doesn't fit in, and they go to the cities and want to get big weapons and do things like that, because naturally the Herethroi are a very peaceful agrarian species.
Okay. This whole world is starting to develop here. And who else do we have?
We've got the Ktsoyis. K-H-T-S-O-Y-I-S. They're a little hard to pronounce and they're a little hard to look at. They are the floating seven-armed air octopi. They've got seven tentacles. They've got 5 eye stalks. They levitate. They are brutal and thuggish. They like nothing better than to float over your head and thump on you with a few clubs. There aren't very many of them, and most people are happy that way.
All right. I hear there's a dragon. I keep calling it the bird, but definitely a dragon. Dragons, and dragons. All right.
About the dragons.
I want to hear about the dragons.
Okay.
Who wants to talk about dragons?
I can talk about
Talk
it.
about dragons.
Okay, the species that is not very populous and comes at the end of the alphabet are the Ziri. They are tiny, immortal, we usually call them dragons, but they could be more like phoenixes. Some are more bird-like, some are more dragon-like. They are very, very small. They are smaller than the other species. They are teeny little diminutive dragons. They are immortals. They don't age after basically going through to become adults, and they don't die naturally. You can kill them. They're not very strong. They're not immortals in terms of resisting everything, but they live forever normally, and therefore start learning things over a very long period of time. Some of the very first ones from the beginning of the world are still around.
Really?
They're very powerful people.
Wow.
They make great NPCs. We let our player characters play Zeries, but we only let them play very young ones because we don't want anyone playing 500-year-old characters. It would sort of overwhelm the other characters in a
If I
campaign.
was a very, very old, I'm going to use some terms that I'm not that really up on it, and my people out there, you might know more than I do. But if I was a serious gamer
Okay.
and was doing this a very long time
Yes.
and had a reputation of doing this, would I be allowed in a game format to, for example, become a more older or wiser within my character, or that doesn't follow through?
Well, basically, there is a character development system in there where basically your characters will get more skills, etc. over time. It would be up to the game master running the campaign whether they would let you start with a higher level character, whether they were making the choice to let you get insanely powerful, really.
All right. If the game master brings me up, does that give me accreditation for another game master that would stay with me?
We are not building right now anything like a national campaign, if that's what you're asking. It would
No.
really be
Is it-
individual game master choices about what they want to do with the
so
character.
if well, I guess what I was asking is if I became very good at your game, and I was just curious if it would carry over to, I call these like countercultures and little subcultures.
Right.
And if I played this game at an Icon convention, and I got into Towson, Maryland, and did a shore leave, and they had a gaming room, and they were playing. I was just wondering if your I don't know if you call it your power, your knowledge, any of that carries over. So it's not, you'd have to just.
We're not building a national campaign of any
All right.
sort where the people in
You-
shore leave
see,
would know about the
there
other
you
people.
go, national
So far.
campaign. So I would think you're talking about politics. Is that national campaign a term or a ref?
It's not an official term, but
Okay.
some games where a big company is sponsoring people to
Right.
do the same thing all over at different
Right.
cons,
Right.
you carry characters from place to place.
I'm asking because I don't know. I really-
No, seriously, that's
they do
how
that.
it is.
They do that.
For smaller games or newer games like World Tree, which is
Right.
smaller and newer.
well,
typically, right now
you
we're
think
in
it's small.
well, so
I-
far it's only been out about 2 months.
I wouldn't.
It'll be big soon.
I had a guy in my booth talking to me about his game called Dungeon and something or other with the dragons.
Right.
You
gotcha.
know, a little nothing, you know.
Right.
And then he moves away to some place in the French Quarters in Louisiana
right,
or whatever.
yeah.
And
I
I
think I know
haven't
who you're
seen
talking-
this
I think I know
guy
who you're
Gary in a
talking
while.
about,
Just
yeah.
hang out right here,
Right, there you
well,
go.
in the other union with me, you know. And I said to him, "What about a big game?" So I'm looking at you with the same attitude.
It could happen.
All
It
right.
could happen. Right now, we're anticipating game masters to run their games independently.
All
But
right.
if at some point
Okay,
game
okay.
masters would like to run something that was more coordinated, we'll be happy to talk to people about developing
Okay.
something like that.
All right, and if they ever do that, that's where a website would come into it.
Right.
I'll
Well,
play.
we do have a website right now, in fact, and
If you write to me, so if anyone has any interest in the game, you can write to me on that, and I can forward them to you and your website.
sure.
Okay, the next one is the Oran. Those are the otter people. They are energetic. They're always interested and excited by something. It changes every week, but they're always excited about their latest new project. You may know some people like that in real life. They also turn into regular otters when they get wet. They enjoy swimming a lot. They eat a lot of fish. They move very quickly and occasionally make very disastrous mistakes very quickly. They're exciting and fun to play.
So, where are we left? We're left with maybe one or two?
We have 2 left.
Two left. Okay, I'm trying to keep count.
That's fine. The next one is the Racimel. They are raccoon people. And stereotypically, they are your solitary eccentrics. Actually, they're sort of your social eccentrics. We see a lot of people that if I were to convert them into World Tree at cons might be Racimels. They tend to be people obsessed with something in particular, very much so, for a long period of time. Maybe a few obsessions. And they get together in clubs a lot. So you might find a number of Racimel who are all interested in shell collecting, who would all get together in clubs and talk about shell collecting and swap shells. And I don't know if you know anybody like that.
A couple people.
Yeah.
It sounds great. We're down to one personality here.
Okay, it's the last one. It's the Sleeth. They're non-anthropomorphic. They're 4-legged panthers, big cats. They act like cats. They live alone most of the time. They hunt. They're fairly cruel. They're not very popular. People are scared of them. They've got big claws and big teeth, and they can kill you, and they might kill you.
Is that where the bear helps a little?
The bear sort of balances the
His
Sleeth.
his presence sounds like I would want the bear around when I.
If they're scary. They're not as dangerous
They're
Or
not vegetarians.
They're not vegetarians. They're not actually that likely to kill you because they are people too.
Yeah.
And people don't usually kill other people. That's murder, and it's a fairly civilized world.
I
But
think I'm ready to go. Would they have any room for a pointy-eared person?
well, a lot of people's ears do
If I
have
grow a
points on them.
tail, right?
You do need a tail.
Yeah, I need a tail. Yeah, well, this sounds good. Now, let's get into the role play. We got characters and all. So, what would be a typical situation for a game? To get me going in what a game is about.
Okay, well, one of the demonstration games that we've been running in the con basically has to do with a countess and her daughter, and she's not real happy with her daughter. She's Rasmel, and the daughter wants to marry these two Orin guys who she met at magic school. And she's not real happy about it because, number one, she doesn't really want her marrying two people. She doesn't want her really marrying otters, and she doesn't really want her marrying people who don't have any titles at all. And so
You get married two, you get two, and neither have a title.
well, that was exactly her point, that basically with two of them, one of the stereotypes, as he mentioned of Orin, is that they get bored easily. And her mother says, well, you know, he's going to get bored of you. And she says, well, that's why I'm marrying two of them. One of them will be interested at any point.
Yeah. It sounds like having a spare.
And in any case, what happens is basically that this daughter, who's away at magic school, gets kidnapped. And the players need to figure out what happened and how to get her back.
I like this. So you go around, you can get people started in the game, and you get a taste of it. And gosh, just from the looks of things, I think you're gonna have a lot of people walking around in your game, walking around conventions. I can see it.
I hope so. It would be a lot of fun to see.
Oh, I think it could very, very well happen.
Super.
You know. So yeah, everything you'd like to add? We're gonna close.
Well, enjoy gaming of whatever kind you do, and enjoy whatever it is you do.
And you have anything you'd like to add?
We'll see you guys around at the cons. Feel free to stop by and say hi if you see us.
Alrighty, well, I just want to say to everybody, people with a passion and a fantasy from the heart, these are the things you have to do in life, and you really just got to go out and do it. Don't let other people tell you what you can't do, because there's no such thing as can't. The thing you have to do is do, and that's the main thing, from the heart, and just do it.
Absolutely.
And the other thing I tell people that are starting out in anything they're doing with a passion is the more you do, the easier it gets and the better you get. Now, I've got two professional writers, and they've got out a new game. And it might sound like a new game. I have a feeling that when this just becomes a repeated show, they're going to say, wow, look at everybody, and look what they look like then. You know, and I don't have a tail yet. So, but anyway, I'm going to say on my show to have a good time, enjoy yourself, live long, prosper, but always enjoy the fantasy. And that's Zenbach on Zenbach's Forte.
I'm quoting random here. Yeah, watch this. Yeah, I watched this twice a day. Oh yeah. I can't let it out. Yeah, that's like.
It's early days yet.
Good. How you doing? I'm awake, finally. I made it this afternoon. Well, what happened to you guys like this?
That one.
Step by this guy's way. Got one left in the bar.
That's the spring wizard. With the dragon. French cat?
If you're fighting sword or just at bay, this is your stance. When you're fighting sword and dagger, it's like this. This is your main weapon, this is your parry weapon. Parry, stab, or parry, stab. Either way. Catch his weapon in this, twist, break the blade. That's the whole point.
Like the Indians come up on top of the hill.
We're on, oh my God, we're on camera, oh no! Please support WUSB during Radiothon 2001.
Zenbach.
Oh,
Hi.
Whoa. Oh, my mic, pal.
Oh, sure. What the heck?
What you doing? I'm Zenbach. You?
Howard Margolin. Hi. From Destinies. Voice of
Just-
science fiction.
You don't know this, but now you will. Destinies. Destinies. Hi.
Really impressive.
Yeah, you like that?
Yeah, I like that.
Look at those. Those are people out there.
There's a lot of them.
This is a guy on WUSB, 90.1. That one. They got that one in there.
Yeah.
Right. No new logo yet on the station, though.
No.
It's still the first in the.
Well, no. Now what are they using these days? Radio Free Long Island.
Free? You go out and buy anything? You see what the bill? All right, I'm not
Are
going
you
to get.
kidding?
I don't want to bring people down.
We're trying to raise money for Radiothon. In fact, we have a table upstairs where we're trying to sell things to raise the money for Radiothon. We're trying to raise $47,000 just to pay the rent on the transmitter site. So,
Sounds like my Libra bill for 1 month.
well, I could see the way you came in. You have to have a budget for that teleporter.
It's rough. It's very, very rough. You know, the lithium crystal cracked.
Oh.
And I'm having a hard time with it. So look, all right, we got a new medium for you. You got people out there that haven't really seen you. You know,
It's visual.
you know.
Oh my God.
And this, for all I know, could be simulcast. So there could be people out there listening to me. I don't know.
That's true. People who, well, you said you've been on USB.
Yeah, I did a show with Dr. Blues. You know, we did a morning show. Some of the TV people, I guess, wouldn't know that because out of the area. But we did a show that was progressive eclectic mix, and I got in trouble for doing the nude beach reports because the fact is the South Shore has a lot of family nude beaches and other strange beaches. And they have problems sometimes with mosquitoes and green flies and things that bite. The North Shore doesn't have nude beaches. People don't get naked in the North Shore.
They have too much money to get naked.
That's right. And they don't have mosquitoes or flies because the North Shore doesn't allow it. And the other thing, and I'm done with
Oh,
this.
it's Camelot.
Yeah, and the last thing I'm going to tell you is if they ever build a bridge to Connecticut,
Yeah.
that other place, that other part of Long Island,
Yeah.
that moved away a long time ago, what's going to happen is the entrance ramps will be in Shirley, Mastic.
Okay.
There has to be. The North Shore, of course, wouldn't allow it. All right, so I think that the beaming situation would get me out of there. I would just reside somewhere else.
Right.
Probably on the ship that I have on the dark side of the moon.
Right. They
Yeah.
want to issue you a summons. You just take off.
Yeah, well, I'm not too worried about it. You know, this is a country where if you've got the money, you kind of get away with things. So I just have to have my son use the time machine and bring back some nice antiquities. You know, hold this. I want to show you something.
Oh, okay.
I'm going off camera for a second.
Oh, look at
This
that.
is the kind of antiquity that Tybach would bring back, you know. So I want to say this. Thank you very much for this award. I worked so hard on that film. And you know, oh, by the way, they have one for you. Hold on.
Oh, look, it's the ISIS award.
This one here is for you because I heard that you've been giving the needle to everybody.
Oh.
So there you go.
Look at that.
Yeah? That's a Cleopatra
Well, that
needle.
sure beats a stick in the eye, doesn't it? No,
Yeah.
that's really lovely. And you made this yourself?
No, these are museum reproductions. That's
Oh.
what these are. I would tell you they're actually real museum things, but I'd get in trouble. Okay, hold on. Shh.
My God, you killed him.
I did. Oh, but Jim. So, your show, you know, you get theme shows and things. Tell them about your show. Tell them people out there that don't hear your show.
Well, as I said, it's very much like your show. We do interviews with writers, artists, actors, directors, not too many directors, composers, producers, etc. We play radio drama. we play audiobook clips, which I suppose is kind of equivalent to what you do with playing those video clips. Play soundtrack music.
You get permission to do.
And as I said, we'll tape on about 2/3 out of the year and live about the other third. I find that with the taped interviews, I edit all the mistakes out, the normal uhs and ums of conversation, which ranks to about 20 to 30% of an average conversation, surprisingly enough, unless you got a really good speaker. So I painstakingly take each one out, and we're using old equipment at WUSB. We're talking an Ampex reel-to-reel tape recorder, splicing tape, and a razor blade, 1964 era material. And maybe we'll get some digital equipment, but that all depends on the people who raise money. And it takes me forever to edit one of those, so I'm doing a lot more live these days.
Well, let me say one thing. I have a friend that does that kind of stuff with vintage radio, with old records. And I did other radio stations that use the computer. I did a local one on the island and one in Connecticut. And it's great that they have that, but there's an art form of what you're doing. By the way, on the ums and ahs, I had one fellow that was a stutterer. Oh, God. And the 20-minute interview,
It's 3 minutes of usable material and 17 minutes of utter and ahs.
I've had a few celebrities that did ums and ahs, and I actually left them in because it was part of the personality, and it actually showed the more human, I thought you get the facial expression and the body language, which you won't get.
Sure, with video it's one thing. But on audio, why should somebody be listening to the radio and have to hear and especially when I've only got 30 minutes a week? Got to condense that down.
Yeah. I know you got to run.
Yes, I do.
So I'm going to let you run. We're going to pick this up. All right. It's been a real pleasure meeting you.
I hope you've enjoyed your time at Icon.
Yes, and I'm glad to be on Icon and glad to be on your show. And
I'm pleased to be on yours.
And there we go.
Thanks for the plug, and I hope that we're on 11:30 Fridays on 90.1 FM WUSB, and tune on in and meet your destinies with us.
Destinies. That's for the people that heard my old show. Nice.
Thanks, Embod.
Is this silly thing on? Well, it's about time. Here we are at the conclusion of Icon 20. The year 2001. And you're still not here. What are you doing sitting on your ass watching me now? Icon 21 is going to be on next year, same time, same place. Get your ass here. Come on down, have a good time. You'll see a lot of authors, actors and actresses from your favorite science fiction science fiction shows. People from Star Trek, Star Wars, what's that other one? Farscape? Babylon 5, X-Files, all the different ones that we like to enjoy. Who knows, maybe we'll even have someone from the Lord of the Rings next year. But come on down, have a good time. It's a great way of getting away from your reality, your frustrations, and the bullshit of everyday life. Come on down, have a good time. This is Raven for 2001. See you next year.